Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Classics with Courtney. And today ends our Veronica Lake month. I hope you have enjoyed this month and the films that I talked about. And today we are not going to look at a film. No, we're going to talk about Veronica's autobiography, Veronica, the autobiography of Veronica Lake. Little bit of context. The first time I heard about the book was when I started watching Veronica's films, which again at the time, which was 2 years ago, I had watched her in I Married a Witch and So Proudly We Hail. And I really loved her in both those films. So I looked more into her career and saw that she wrote an autobiography. But for some reason, I didn't get it right away. I waited until last year to get the book. I purchased the book last year, and what happened? I ended up liking it. Not only did I like the book itself, but I actually got a different perspective on Veronica herself. You see, much like Alan Ladd, people have said that Veronica Lake was not that great of an actress. But in my estimation, I think she was fine. In fact, I think she was great in many respects. And respecting her as an actress is one thing. But reading the book, I got a sense of what she was like as a person. And I actually respected her more as a person. So I actually ended up loving her both as an actress and as a person. So it was a win-win situation. What really got me with the book was it did keep me invested. It didn't take me a week like it did with the Alan Ladd biography, but it took me around a month. Like I said, me reading, sometimes my mind just can't, So, it did take me a month to get through the book. Does it make it bad? No, that's just me. The book itself is great. I loved it. I had a lot of fun reading it. There was a lot of stuff that Veronica says that was very great, but at the same time, there were things that she said that was so heartbreaking, and it's just, she had an interesting life. One of the key factors that I realized while reading the book was Veronica, actually her name is Constance, which is a beautiful name too. She said that when she first started, people called her a witch with a B, so to speak. And she explains that at only age 17, when she started, she had to survive. So she said either she would go with the crowd or she would remain true to herself. And remaining true to herself, she made a lot of enemies. And I'm very glad she did. I can respect her for that. I'm glad she didn't go through the norms of just following what everybody else did, And to me, looking at it from that perspective, I'm like, give the girl a break. She was 17. She has every right to defend herself and to protect herself from people around her. Now, does she say that she was abused in Hollywood? Not really. But she does say that some guy did try something with her, which is not at all surprising considering what Shirley Temple would write in her autobiography about when she went to MGM and what certain people tried to do to her and her mother, apparently. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The good thing is nothing happened. She was able to, escape and everything. But, yeah, that didn't surprise me one bit. Now, what kind of did and didn't surprise me was her mother. I had heard that her mom was not what you would call the greatest mother of all time. But in the book, she actually goes into detail about her relationship with her mom. She said she basically had no relationship with her mom. She had a better relationship with her stepfather, to the point when her stepfather was sick, she would tend to him and her mom got jealous. She forced her into beauty pageant, which was the stepping stone into Hollywood, because somebody had given her a compliment on something that she did that was very unique as for a young lady. And her mom rolled with it and was like, we're going to go to California. I'm going to put you into Hollywood. Oh, yippee, the stage mom act. Woohoo! It gets worse. There are moments in the book where she talks about her mom, and it's like, there's at one point that involves her as a child and a priest, which I think the less said on that, the better. But spoiler alert, she's okay. Nothing happened. But an attempt, I think, was made. Then later, when she married her first husband and she got pregnant, her mom had a fit about it. She said that her mom would bawl her out, which of course she would always be in tears. And then she would tell her husband, please talk to her. I just say something, defend me. And as much as I liked her first husband by her account, it's sad that during this time when her mom would just bawl him out, he would just take it. He didn't defend either one of them. It was like, oh, well, maybe your mom has a point kind of thing. So even her own husband wouldn't defend her, which is ultimately pretty depressing. Then, of course, we have the famous/infamous story of her mother suing her. Oh, yes, her mother went and sued her for the money. Serenity and calm of the second week was shattered when my lawyer arrived. This is too ludicrous to even bring up at a time like this, Ronnie, but I'm compelled by law. Your mother is suing you. It was too ridiculous to be a joke. Suing me for what? For a lack of filial love and responsibility. I knew filial had something to do with parents and children, but I had no real understanding of what my lawyer was talking about. He explained, your mother claims you promised back in 1943 to pay her $200 a week for life. She says you stopped paying her anything last May and owe her the money. She wants $17,416 in back pay and $500 a month for life. Andre turned his temper on the lawyer. You go back and tell her she's crazy. I'd like to, Andre, but she's filing the suit, and there's very little we can do about it unless you want to settle with it out of court. It's stories like that that really make me angry because it just shows that she had no care for her daughter. The fact that it seemed like all she wanted was the money. She was pushing her into a show business world that Connie had no right to be in and didn't want to be in to begin with. And yet, here she is, just gave birth to a baby, and she gets news in the hospital that her mother is suing her. This literally makes me think of how people, including myself, have said that Ethel Gum, which was Judy Garland's mom, is one of the worst stage moms in the world. I don't know. I think she could take a seat next to Veronica Lake's mom at this point. Of course, shortly after the lawsuit, Connie doesn't talk much about her mom. You could tell that relationship was just severed and just didn't bother with her at that point. And it's stories like that, like I said, that make my blood boil. Her mom is just a piece of work. Now, despite the negative stories that Connie offers, there are some positive stories that Connie offers as well. Stories that, when people were kind to her. Very similar to the story that I told in my first review of I Wanted Wings for Veronica Lake Month when Ray Milland came to her aid during that film. There were some good people in her life, which thank God for that. Of course, we can't talk about the book without my personal introduction officially to Alan Ladd on a personal, positive kind of note. Let me just tell you. Alan Ladd was a marvelous person in his simplicity. In so many ways, we were kindred spirits. We both were professionally conceived through Hollywood's search for box office and the types to ensure that box office. And we were both little people. Alan wasn't as short as most people believe. It was true that in certain films in which his leading ladies was on the tallish side, Alan would climb a small platform or the girl worked in a slit trench. We had no such problem working together. Alan had played a small role in Joan of Paris as one of 5 fugitive British flyers, but this gun for hire brought him to the forefront of the moviegoer's imagination as to what a tough guy should be. Alan Ladd was a superb psychopathic killer. He could be cool, placid, all-observing, and knowing, or just plain nasty. He was all these things in his career, and a nation reacted enthusiastically. There is no actor with whom I'm more closely connected than Alan Ladd, and yet we had less to do with each other than most other acting teams. We'd arrive on the set early in the morning. Alan would nod and say, "Good morning, Ronnie." "Hi, Alan." We'd go to the makeup and wardrobe, play our scenes together, and go back to our dressing rooms to take off the makeup and wardrobe. "Night, Ronnie." "Night, Alan. See you tomorrow." Both of us were very aloof people. We were a good match for each other. It enabled us to work together very easily and without any friction or temperament. Now, of course, I do have a couple nitpicks about that passage, mostly due to her bringing up his height. I will be covering a whole video on that on my Alan Ladd YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that. And yes, I have done extensive research, so there will be a lot in that video. But my thing is, there weren't very many actresses that worked with him that were taller than him. That's what a lot of people have taken over the years and blown out of proportion. Many of his leading ladies were not taller than him. He was 5'9.5" according to his war records. And guess what? I found an article that actually said he was 5'10". He's not as short as what people have said. Both she and Virginia Mayo both said he's not as short as people have thought. Now, despite that bit, I do love how she talks about Alan here. She's very close to him. They had a very good connection together. They were very professional. He treated her politely. She treated him respectfully. It was a good working relationship. And again, it was this passage that made me go, okay, I'm going to give Alan Ladd a chance. And thank you, Veronica Lake, because I am a mega fan of Alan forever. Overall, I do really recommend the book. It's a very good read. It's a great autobiography. In fact, it's one of my favorites. The fact that I felt a personal connection with her while reading it, which doesn't happen very often. Some autobiographies I can read and I'm like, no, I can't finish this because I can't connect with you. There's nothing there for me that, that I can feel, like it's not drawing me in, I guess. With her book, it drew me in. There was a lot of stuff in her life that I felt sorry for her for, and a lot of stuff that she did in her life that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And it's just, it's a very good read, and you'll definitely get a lot of perspective from her side of the story. There is one bit I do want to bring up, that while reading the book, I got a sense of how humble she was. She actually mentions twice in the book how weird it is to write an autobiography about yourself, and that when writing an autobiography about yourself, you might sound conceited. And there's even a point where when she brings it up the second time around, she brings up good reviews that she had gotten from one of her films. And she says that, this sounds conceited, but this is what the reviews said. That's an easy lookup. All you have to do is look up old artifacts and stuff if they're still around, which I'm sure there are. Sites like Internet Archive that have a bunch of articles and stuff these days. I'm sure you can find that kind of stuff. So, yeah, she backs those claims up while also remaining humble. She doesn't say, oh, I was the biggest actress of my time and, this and that, blah, blah, blah. No, she was humble. She came from humble beginnings like Alan Ladd, and she left Hollywood, and you might say that she even left in many ways humble events, In fact, what's depressing is when she received her Hollywood Walk of Fame star, I think there was only one or two people that showed up. So that just shows that how much she was disrespected in Hollywood by that point, and how no one seems to care. Now, by today's standards, she's very popular as ever. You got Facebook groups and Facebook pages and, Instagram pages. Many people that will, go to bat for her, share pictures and everything. And her groups have over 1,000 followers or more. So she definitely has a really great fan base. But at the time before her death, I guess you could say she really didn't. So that ends my review of Veronica Lake's autobiography. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below what you think of Veronica Lake. Have you read her book? And if you haven't, did I pique your interest? Or is this an autobiography you ain't gonna touch? Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for joining me for Veronica Lake Month, and I will see you guys in my next video. And remember, if I'm not active on here, I am active on my other YouTube channel, which is Alan Walbridge Ladd Archive, where I will be posting his public domain films, clips of his other films in the shorts era, edits, and I will eventually be making my own content on that channel very, very soon. So stay tuned if you want more content. Go follow me on that channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Have a great and wonderful day.